Hello again, how are you today? Let's start this look with foundation already on. Now, I didn't really have a plan for this look. I knew I wanted leaves, and that's the extent of what I wanted. So I go in here with a lime green body paint and I try to make a spine of a leaf. Would I have benefited from looking at a photo of a leaf? Yeah, probably. So to save you from all of that trouble of scaling and not actually knowing what you're looking at, let's start painting straight away. There's not much to really talk about here. I made a weird outline and now I'm filling it in lime green body paint, but then I use a green cream paint to darken the center of this leaf. I do this for two reasons. One, cream paint blends beautifully on top of water-based body paints, and two, I wanted to darken the inside of the leaf because as leaves fall and die and wither away from, life, their darkness is still in the center of their leaves while the outside of the leaf crunches up and turns lighter. So I wanted to give that a try. And also it kind of helps with the glam look that I'm going to do later. So I used the cream to make the base for all of that. And I try to taper that out onto the different parts of the leaves that are ripped off. Then I'm going in with my Gemini palette because, let's be honest, what else would I use? I love this palette. I'm using the color Leo. With this color, not only am I setting all of the green that we just blotted on top and blended on top, I am darkening that even more and blending it out, tapering it out, and attempting to fill in that outer corner for the eye. I'm trying to blend out a classic eye. And I take the color a little bit under the eye as well, exaggerating it a bit because, we're still trying to blend it into the center of the leaf. I then go in with Fire OG and I use that to taper off the Leo color into the nothingness that we have at the moment. I do like Fire OG, it does look like it's drier, so it does fit the drier portion of the green leaf. And then I take Smokey, which is an even drier looking color, and I touch up the ends of that leaf. Again, there's not much to it, you can see pretty much what I'm doing. I've taken a pretty fine angled brush now, and I've gone back in with that lime green body paint to create the veins on the leaf. The contrast here is going to make this leaf. You'll see, the contrast and the shading that I'll do later makes this leaf. Until then, it looks a bit chaotic. You're going to have to trust the process here. Create those veins wherever you think you need to in order for the leaf to look like it makes sense on your face. I then blended an orange-based body paint with a yellow one, and I created the next leaf. I didn't really go into the trouble of outlining this one, I just sort of went with it, and it was a bit easier. I do like how, because I've blended these two colors together, the entire leaf kind of goes in and out of darkness and light, which makes it look dead in some parts and more alive in others. I liked that effect, but if you have one solid color, that's good too. I've mixed red and yellow cream paints here. I'm not showing you the palette where I got it from because any colored cream paints will do, but I'm using one by Ben Nye, which I've used in other videos. And I'm just doing the same thing that I did to the green one. I'm making the center parts darker, I'm tapering it off into the ends of the leaves, and I'm blending it out. Then I take polka dot and I create a couple things here, as well as darkening this part of the leaf because it is the center part of the leaf. I'm also creating a shadow to separate it from the green leaf. This makes it look like it is hidden underneath the green leaf, and it does separate the two a bit. Still with polka dot, I'm recreating that classic eye that we did on the other side, but with this color scheme. And then I take a color called rose brown, but any brown will do, to create the veining in this leaf. And because you saw me detail it in the other leaf, you get it, so I'll skip through most of this one. But make sure you use an angled brush because those create straighter lines. If you use a detailed brush, you're gonna get wonky lines. I learned that the hard way. Back in with polka dot now to recreate some of that darkness and to separate the two leaves again. Then I use Cupcake. I pretty much do the same thing on top of what I did with polka dot, but more concentrated to the corners and the edges of my face and the larger portions of this leaf, including the glam portion, blending it out on the top and the bottom lash line, and making it as much of a classic eye as I can. Again, exaggerating it, blending it out, that doesn't bother me. It all comes together in the end. At this point, I didn't like how harsh the veins were, so I mixed white body paint with that rose brown and I just created some highlights. I did that all over the place and that did create a better contrast and I liked it a lot better. Now, I'm skipping straight through this red one. You've seen me do two leaves. Also, I messed it up, and yes, that is me putting concealer on it to fix the damage. Note to self, by the way, red body paint, it stains and it looks like blood. I did something with this leaf that I want to show you. For the top half of it, I'm going in with a yellow cream paint. Here I'm highlighting the large portions of the leaf where the light would hit, and I'm blending that out into, obviously, you can see what I'm doing, I'm blending that out. I did want to do this leaf a little different to the others, or else, you know, there's nothing really interesting about this look, so I did it this way. And I'm just using yellow cream paint. On the other half of the leaf, I'm going in with more of a deeper red, brown colored cream paint, and I'm blending in shadow work. Now, because this leaf is pretty big, I can get away with this, and it really does tie everything together by the end of it. It goes from looking like a phoenix feather to an actual leaf. Then with that rose brown again, I create the stem of the leaf and some veining. And after a while, it starts to look really dynamic because I've got that light and dark contrast, and the leaf really looks like it's curling over outside of itself. This turned out to be my favorite leaf because by that point, I knew how to do it. This is a shadow by Ben Nye we're going to use later. I don't know why it's here. Now we're going in with Luna from the Gemini palette. And we're going in with Luna because we're setting the highlights that we just did, and Lorelei would make it look very dark. So just like with any cream product, the shadow will set it in place. And with that red that we showed before that wasn't supposed to be there, we're doing the same to the dark side. I'm using Cupcake by Gemini, I'm not sure why that clip isn't here, and I'm just creating some shadows underneath each leaf so it separates a little from my body and it looks a little more 3D. And then with my finger, I'm just touching into goals, adding some highlight to the highlight portions of my green leaf to my glam look, and then Gemini, I'm doing the same thing to the other side of my glam look and the red leaf. Oh yeah! And I touch it up to my lip here because I really like this effect. When you put shimmery shadows on your lip, it looks really cool. I add some liner, which I'm really close and personal for. Then I add some lashes, and that's the final look. The second look for autumn, and probably the last one because I've run out of time. I hope you enjoyed it and that I was able to teach you something cool about light and shadow. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!